G'day, bird nerds. Saturday morning. Garden enthusiasts, general wildlife lovers who are looking to create a patch of wildlife paradise in your vicinity. I'm Grant. I'm a bird nerd. I am also a horticulturist. Hence, we're going to be talking about habitat gardening, creating that wildlife paradise in your in your backyard, in your neighbourhood, on your nature strip. I am Grant. That's Loz. Loz is my co-host and advisor on all things that avian nectar feeding parrots would like. So here we are. Today we're talking about raising seeds and growing plants from seeds. Oh, that's a funny effect, and you've got there, Loz. A funny effect. A funny effect. Growing seeds from seeds that you have collected or purchased. Oh, there he goes, back to his playground. Oh, and yeah. So, right, squad. Hello, all the regulars. We're responding really today to questions that Naomi had asked in the last live stream about raising seeds. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at a couple of people's ideas for the best way to raise seeds, and then we'll explore it a little bit beyond germinating the seeds. We'll then talk about perhaps some. Wow, the weather's just gone. Just turned. Well, anyway, let's not time date the show. Oh, bear with me, everyone. I just do need to put up a warning. This is a content warning. Well, let's just check. I'm not even sure if Instagram are up to us yet, but let's put the Instagram warning up. The Instagram stream only lasts for about an hour. So if you're watching on Instagram and you would like to join in, you cannot leave comments on Instagram that I can put up for the whole world to see. So head over to YouTube. That's the best place to be watching. So there we are. There we go. That is. Let's get rid of that banner too. We probably don't want that one, do we? Because we are already started. Raising seeds. Raising seeds. Let's get straight into that. Now, Naomi had mentioned that she has some seeds that she collected herself, waratahs, and what were the other ones? Grass trees. Now, neither needs a special treatment. I must admit, every time I have germinated grass trees, Australian grass trees, or it's one with that have got the tuft on top, the spiky, lovely tuft on top, and then when they flower, they throw a big flower spike up. We'll have a look at some in a little while. I have always, with grass trees, put the seeds in an oven to release the seeds. So I guess that's the heat treatment that is often talked about. The other thing that we have done, I have used smoke-infused vermiculite as as a dusting over the top of the seed on the seed raising mix. Hey, I'm a little bit worried. I haven't had anyone tell me where they're from. Naomi, you know the rules. I like to put up where people are listening or watching from. So pop that in the comments and we'll get that started. And then we'll have a little look and talk about some of these opinions on seed raising mix. I've got a really easy opinion on seed raising mix in general, but we'll get to that after. Good. I have got. There we are. Hello, Naomi. I mean, since this is your questions, we'll go through that. Now, Naomi, I'm going to assume that you have looked at some information online. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to give you a lot of extra until perhaps we get into some of the contraptions that people can easily use, can make from stuff you've got just lying around the house, to build a little greenhouse that will push things along a little bit. But let's get into this from the Diggers Club, Diggers Seeds, experts at growing seeds. And look, here we go. Come on, Diggers, here we go. It's very simple. You just want a fine textured mix, very free draining. That's the key. You don't want it to get boggy, but it does need to retain adequate moisture. When seeds germinate, they have all of the nutrition they need to get started. So you don't need a mix that is holding added fertilizer. Thanks, Loz. But you do need it to be able to release some nutrients when the seedling requires it. So that's why you need to have something like compost or peat moss in the mix. Worm castings are ideal for that. So I'm not prescriptive about what you need. The Diggers mix, which is generally for exotics, flowers and vegetables, is what they concentrate on. They go 2 parts compost, 1 part wash sound, 1 part coir, or like the palm stuff. But that's not prescriptive. I'll show you what I would generally recommend, and let me just get this up. Oh, that's not what I want. I want to zoom in, not out. Zoom in. Okay, let's share this tab now. Okay, so you see all these things? Seasol, Yates, Debco, and I'm sure here's another one. Grow Better. I'm sure there's more. Let's have a look. Are there more? Let's have a look. Yeah, here we go. The Brunnings mix. Propagation mix. Grow Better. They're all going to be fine. So head on down to your local nursery, hardware, whatever, and get whatever you need in the size that you think you need. But I do want you to look at another option, and that is these Jiffy pots. And if these allow you to plant out directly, you don't have to pot up. So if you're not potting up, and these are not plants for that are going to remain in containers, but you know that you're going to plant them out, it's a good idea to do the Jiffy pots. I know I'm going, yeah. Let's promote all this stuff. And these are another thing that I used to use a lot, which are the Jiffy pots that are expandable, and you can actually germinate your seeds in this. So if the only space you have is like a windowsill, or you have a very limited spot in your yard, like, or if you've only got a balcony, as I know some people who contribute regularly have, these are ideal. They're dehydrated, you add water, they turn into like a good little propagation mix. You can germinate your seed there, and then you could, once it's grown up to maybe 4 or 5 leaf stage, then you can pop it into a jiffy pot. You're not taking up any sort of extra space, and then you can pot it up into the final pot when you are ready. So these are really, really handy things. So oh, I didn't put that tab up, did I? Here we go. That was what I was talking about, the jiffy pop-up pot. All right. So we've talked about some of that. Let's come back to here. Okay, no questions, no comments. Let's come back to, I think we'll go this layout now. Come on. There we are. Let's have a look at a couple of videos, because I always love looking at a few videos. And then if anyone's got any questions, Naomi, if I haven't answered any of your questions to your satisfaction, let us know in the comments. I do have a few things that I want to watch now, and we can do that. And then I'll give you some ideas for like creating a little greenhouse, if you would like. Okay, let's stop this, stop that, bring him back. Okay, now this is a YouTube channel that I really like. Vasily's Garden. You may have seen Vasily on TV in Australia. Is he usually on SBS? I'm not sure. Is he now on like the community channels? I don't know, but he's been around for a long while. He's a bit like Costa, only not as entertaining, certainly not as enthusiastic. And let's have a look at Vasily's take.
Have a look at this soil. You made this?
Yes, mate. I made it with this.
That is fantastic. With peat moss.
Peat moss.
Peat moss comes in a dried compressed form. Add water and it swells out.
Yeah.
And this is great to aerate your soil. It holds moisture.
It does.
Not as much as clay soil does, obviously, but it does help to aerate it if you've got a very boggy soil.
Yeah.
Now, you don't use soil from the garden or seed raising mix to grow your own.
No.
You mix it like
I
this.
I make it my own. All right. Already I got half of here.
Okay.
Dirt which has not been mixed yet.
All right, so this part of the wheelbarrow hasn't been mixed.
This
Wait.
half is done. This is not. You can tell.
I can feel it. It's heavy. Look
yeah,
at this.
yeah.
It plugs up.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Yeah.
That there is hard now.
Yeah.
That's straight from the garden bed.
Exactly.
You can break it away, but that's not good enough for seed.
Not for the seedlings.
It'll end up, especially in the small pots.
I'll just make a comment here. Very rarely in gardening terms is there a need to be exact. I mean, people have been growing, cultivating plants for thousands of years. There are techniques that improve your success rate or make newer things possible, like some of the grafting techniques, tissue culture, things like that. But the main thing I want you to take out of this video is, look, there's a bucket. Throw a bit of a bucket into here. Throw a bit in there. Have a look at the tubes just sitting there on the top of the wheelbarrow.
Exactly.
It'll go hard and the seed won't germinate. It actually rot away.
It
So
rot.
you mix it all up with a bit of potting mix.
I
So,
was a potty mix,
yep,
dirt,
yep.
and
The peat
Dirt.
moss.
peat moss.
All
And
right.
that's where it comes from.
So do I just tip all this in here?
Yeah, you can tip it there.
Tip it in?
Yeah, tip it there because I got to do after. That's
Okay.
enough. That's enough. That's now we're gonna mix it with this.
Yeah.
With the soil. So once you mix it, and you can feel it straight away.
There we go.
It's like a sponge.
Oh, look at that.
Can you feel it?
I can feel it.
Yeah.
It feels like I've just broken up a sponge cake.
Exactly. See that? Doesn't do. Look at it. How that break
then
already.
and it cleans off your hands too pretty
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
So you're mixing it through, and you need to mix it through properly, not just throw it on top.
No, no, no. You have to mix.
Yeah. Then
Yeah.
once that's done,
You put it in a pot.
like that.
That's it. Pop your hole in the middle.
Yep.
And the
Put the
seedlings.
seed in there,
I'll show you over there.
and this is what they look like.
That's it.
The best way to look after your plants is with Vasili's Easy Hand Spray. Order your sprayer now, available only at vasilisgarden.com.
Oh, there we are, folks. That's one of the perils of live streaming. I was turning Vasily off, and I got dumped off. Let's get ready for the next one that I wanted to show you. Naomi, I will just where are we? There we are. We're over here now. I'll just say Naomi's asked, are Jiffy pots okay for all natives? Okay. Now you were asking about waratahs or tilopias and grass trees, xanthorrhoea. I would say let's pop that up again. What happened to it? I would say in general yes, but for really fine seeds like eucalypt, corymbias, and any others, melaleucas, leptospermums, all of those really, really small seeds, I wouldn't waste a Jiffy pot with them. You're going to want to sow them traditionally in a seed tray or in a little punnet. Punnets, if you, just any punnet you bought from the, when you bought tomatoes or something in the past, because the fine seeds have a tendency to get washed around or whatever. Use punnets, and then you will need to do the pricking out when the seedlings are large enough. And we'll cover that in a different video. I'll get some more good demonstrative videos, and hopefully some of my seeds will have come up by then, and I'll actually show you how to do the pricking out. But for an individual seed that is large enough for you to see and press in with your finger into a Jiffy pot, that is what I would recommend if you don't have a lot of space. And if you don't have protected space that you can leave it, Jiffy pots are great because you can put them on your bathroom ledge, which has often got the diffused light, or I put them on the kitchen windowsill. Anywhere that you think you might grow some herbs is a really good spot. I think your question, where you're asking about all natives, is are we worried about that excess phosphorus in the soil issue? In general, yes, they're fine, because propagation mixes or media like Jiffy pots are generally not containing added fertilizer. The materials that they're made of will release nutrients that are available to seedlings adequately. So, yes, the answer is, are they fine? Yes. Now, I don't know what you missed when I dropped out of the stream, but what I want to do now is show just one more video about seed raising from the Garden Gurus. Now, you've probably seen them on TV too. Hopefully we don't get a copyright strike or anything here, but they're pretty handy. What are they pushing? They're pushing sea sole. There's a sea sole mix. What I want to make sure you all understand is any any commercially available seed raising mix is going to be fine. And in most cases, even the propagation mix, which is a bit sharper, is going to be okay to get germination going. So, yeah, in most cases it's fine. Let's check this one out. Only 2 minutes 40, so it's a beauty. Let's go.
It's amazing when you go into the nursery or hardware store just how many packets of seeds there are and how many different varieties they've got. And that's just a small amount of all the seeds that are out there. It's crazy to think that the world's tallest trees and biggest plants start life out from just a small seed. If you're also fascinated by this miraculous process, you'll love growing plants from seeds. It's a beautiful thing and easy to do with the right gear. And a good seed-raising soil mix is essential. I've got these mini peat pots that I'm using. They're perfect for this. And also, what's important is to use a specialist seed-raising mix. And just have that about 15 mil below the top. And the next stage is to get some moisture going. So I'm just going to water that in. And now's the fun part, the sowing of the seeds. We've got a fantastic collection. Sunflower seeds, snow peas, and these pink ones here are miniature beans. And of course, I've got some corn. Now, larger seeds like this, you can just place individually into the mix. With smaller seeds, you can just sprinkle them over and maybe get 2 or 3 per cell. With the biggies, one at a time.
Just stop here for a moment. Do you notice that he's got the seed tray? You might go back a little bit. Yeah, just here. So, the unit that is there on the left of the screen is one of those little mini greenhouses that you can purchase in the nursery, in the hardware store. Now, they're really, really useful. If you can lay out for one of those or a few of them, where they're good is they're a standard size and the covers fit on all the standard size trays, which means that you can get a bit of a production line going where you are germinating, and then you have some things that are growing on, some things that are hardening off. And because they're regular, you can put little regular sized tubes in, not the little jiffy pot tray that he's got here, but you can get your little tubes that are the same size in hard plastic that you can use over and over and over again. But if you can't lay out for one of those, we've got a few tips coming up. So.
Now I'm going to top up the seeds with another layer of the mix just to make sure they're covered properly. About 5 millimeters will do it.
Now, these are for quite large seeds, but the principle is always the same. I'll talk a little bit more about fine seeds in a moment.
Now this seed raising mix is very gritty and open. It's got fine bark in it. And the idea there is that it's really free draining and it's really good for seed establishment. The roots can just get in quickly and the plant can grow. The mix also contains sea salt gold and organic matter, and these help with germination, strong root development, and beautiful plant growth. And that's
Naomi, to reinforce for you, all of the added nutrients that Nigel here is talking about are not a problem for any of our phosphorus sensitive plants in the Proteaceae family, like Grevilleas, Banksias, proteas, etc., and indeed waratahs. But waratahs don't generally have that same sensitivity. But yeah, I'll just bring him back a little bit because I interrupted him.
Beautiful plant growth, and that's what you want for your seeds, folks. The magic trick is to water gently with a sea salt solution. This helps improve seed germination.
Or any of the other soluble fertilizers like Charlie Carp and Maxi Crop is one that I like. Again, Maxi Crop, don't overdo it on the strength. You just don't need to.
Rates and develops a strong, healthier root system.
Actually, I want to say, at this stage, I don't think you need to be adding nutrients. I don't think you need to be adding sea soil or anything at this stage, because the seed has everything it needs to get started.
So there you go, and there you have it. That's some sassy seed sowing with Rock.
All right, let's come back here and get rid of that. Oh. Oh, did you had a problem with hearing the video? That's not great. Let us try another one. I want to show. There's a couple of other products I want you to be aware of for. Let's come back. Let me get that one out. Naomi, did you get anything worthwhile out of that? I was going to show a video about pricking out. Are we having sound problems today? Can you hear me all right? Let's... maybe, do I need to be louder? Let's have a look. I'm really worried about that. Very worried about that. Oh, it's a good time too. I'll just do the reminder for the reminder for those on Instagram that the stream only lasts for an hour on Instagram. So you need to head over to YouTube, thebirdemergency.com/YouTube, and you can join in and you can do things like this. Naomi has just said, okay. Naomi, could you hear the first clip that we played with Vasily? Could you hear Vasily all right? And could you hear... well, I'm going to search for... because the next part of the process, I'll see if we can find a good Australian one. All right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show a gardening Australian one because it's got Jane Edmondson, and Jane Edmondson is fantastic. We'll give that a go. Okay, good. Thank you, Naomi. You heard the first clip. Fine. Okay. So once you have, once you've germinated your plants, and seed germination is pretty easy. Don't overwater, but don't let them dry. Don't let them dry out. Okay, because they're extremely fragile. The seedlings, after they germinate, extremely fragile. Don't place them in full sun. Place them in somewhere where they will get light, but they will not get direct sun that will burn them off. But if you have a shade protected space, that will be fine. You also don't want them to be out where rain is going to fall on them directly. Find mist when it comes to watering, or watering from the bottom up. So if you've got them in a tray or small pots, you can pop those in a shallow tray, and the soil will take up enough moisture that you need. Everything you want to be gentle while these things are really fragile. I always covered my seeds, once I had spread them out, with fine vermiculite, because vermiculite would reflect any excess light. Water would flow in, but it would also retain a little bit of moisture, but protected the seeds from wind and stuff. And yeah. Anyway, that was just me. Everyone has their own method. Some people like to use fine sand over the top. People have different methods, and if it works, it's the right method. That's my view. Okay, let's see. Let's give. Okay, I'll come back. Once your seedlings get to, I don't know, I like to have a couple of true leaves. And by true leaves, I mean when a grevillea or a gum or something germinates, the first leaves you see are not the true shape of the leaves. They're soft, and at that stage, it's a really young seedling. But when the true leaves, they're harder. Well, after they harden off, they're harder, but they're generally more rigid, and they are a shape that you can recognise from that plant. Generally, some have a longer period, but in general, you have the seed leaves, the cotyledons, before you get out to the true leaves. I don't even think about pricking out until we get to true leaves stage, but some people have a different idea. I didn't grow many vegetables. My interest was always in growing natives from seed. But let's see what Jane says, and we will take it from there. And do let me know if you can't hear it. Yes, okay. Do let me know if you can't hear it well enough. Oh, I better make sure the volume is all the way up for it. It is, okay.
Starting seeds off in a tray means that you can grow more all at once, and it also means that they get the temperature and the nutrients and the moisture that they need for a good start in life. In this tray, I'm growing a few different tomatoes, some amaranth, as well as a bit of cosmos. These seedlings have got their first true leaves, which are the second ones to sprout, and they look more like the adult plant leaves than the first rounded
Oh, someone must have already mentioned that.
pair. This means they're now ready to be separated or pricked out and moved on to bigger pots. It's quite easy, and I'll show you how. When it comes to pricking out, you can treat most seedlings in the same way. Get the new pot ready and fill with potting mix so that you can transplant the seedlings straight away. Water the seedlings in their tray before you handle.
Now, I just want to show what Jane's doing here. You see Nigel and Jane. Nigel was going with the watering can. I nearly always water seeds the way Jane is watering the seeds here. It's more gentle, and you can sort of control the amount of moisture that your mix is getting. You're also not disturbing the media that you have on top. So that's just my preference.
Water the seedlings in their tray before you handle them, just to reduce the stress of the move. Using a dibbing stick, in this case it's an old chopstick, or you can use an old pencil, dig down to get the root ball out as best you can intact. Hold it by the stem or the little leaves. As long as you're not squishing them too hard, they'll be just fine. Look at that, there's a dear little plant.
And I'll just emphasise here too, when you are pricking out, the idea is to lift the seedling and all of the roots rather than pull. If you are needing to exert pressure to pull, it means you haven't done enough levering from the bottom to lift. That's the crucial time where you can damage and malform the root system. So just be gentle and lever up. If you need to lever up from 2 sides or 4 sides, you know, if you've left it a little bit long, which you may well have done. But this is why, if you're only growing 1 or 2 or 3 plants at a time, or up to a dozen or something, I mean, buy a dozen Jiffy pots and use them, because then you don't need to do any pricking out.
Still using the dibber, make a hole in the new pot a little deeper and wider than the seedling root ball. Make sure that you make the dibbing hole deep enough so that the roots really go all the way down, and then...
There's an alternative way to, sorry for stopping, but Jane here is potting up into, she's going to pot several seedlings into this pot. I don't like to do that because I like to reduce the transplant stress that the seedlings get. I like to do it once. So I would be transplanting this, and I'll have to do a video showing you what I do, I think. But I would get an individual tube, maybe a 5-inch, I don't know, I think the sort of 5 or 6 inch tubes, or a 3-inch tube. I would part fill it. Oh, what's happened? What's happened to me? Oh, that's what's happened. Beg your pardon. My camera has disappeared. I'll just get that back up, and then we'll talk about it. So yeah, I would put a centimetre or 2 in the bottom of a tube, and then I would fill in around it while I'm holding the. Let me just get this in. What's happening here? What's going on with live view? What is going on here? Sorry, here I'm going to try and stop that. Okay. I'll just get the camera stopped talking to the computer. Let's get this going. I'm just going to let the video run while I try and get this sorted out.
nicely settled in so that they develop well. Gently pack it around and give them another watering. Make sure to keep them moist and in a spot out of the afternoon sun just till they settle in. It really is quite easy and it's economical, it's fun, so why not have a go every season?
Thanks there, Jane. Now I'm sure you can still hear me. Let me know that you can. I'm just going to pull that out and just see if I can get this this working again. What's going on with this? Something is definitely not behaving. What is going on? Where's my... Oh, okay, that's that one. This one, let me put this in. Okay, what I'm going to do in a moment, I'm going to find you another video that's a little bit longer to watch, and I will jump out of the stream. I'm going to put just bear with me. See if I can find a oh yes, okay. Let's okay. What I am going to do, folks, is I'm going to put some music on for you, and
In this video, we're looking at how to plant and grow Australian grass trees.
and then I am just going to restart my computer because something is not agreeing. So if in doubt, so I'll just put the feeding the ducks on, put that on loop. I'm going to restart. The stream will stay open. Oh, and also, just before I go, I will let the Instagram folks know that they need to come over to YouTube to catch the grass tree discussion, and also to have a look at more pricking on and growing on. So yeah, sorry that is what's taking place. I'm just going to restart. I'll be back in probably about 3 minutes from now. back there. I've got this happening over here. Habitat gardening. I need to just pull up the Lemix tether. Okay, what is going on here? Okay, I think we're back. Yes, we're back. Okay, let me just go back to there. Why is that not working? Let's go. There we are. I reckon we're back. There we are. I think we're back, aren't we? Oh, wowee. Wowee. Oh, the joys of live production. All I had to do was pull things out and replug them in. I don't know what happened there. Okay. Let me get back to what I was going to show you, and we can Okay, this is just for you, Naomi. Have I got it up now? All right, let's get this up. I'm down there. That's better. That's better. Here we go.
In this video, we're looking at how to plant and grow Australian grass.
Do let us know if you cannot hear that audio. Oh, I better turn the music off, right? That would be good. That would be good. And thanks for bearing with us with that that little annoying thing.
Grass trees. The botanical name is Xanthorrhoea, and with over 20 different species, many are popular with landscapers, including Xanthorrhoea glauca, Pressii, Johnsonii, and Quadrangularis. These are a slow-growing plant in terms of forming a trunk. However, the foliage is fairly quick to establish, and you can have a great-looking grass tree in about 3 or 4 years. They're both drought and frost tolerant once established, and all require a free draining soil. So if you're considering planting a grass tree for your next landscaping project, then this is the way to go about it. And Robin from Fernacres Nursery is going to show us step by step how to plant and grow an Australian grass tree.
Today we're talking about Xanthorrhoea. These are examples of Xanthorrhoea in our driveway at the nursery, and these are seed grown and have been in the ground for just under 3 years. The pot you see in front of you is a 30 centimetre pot, and that's what was planted at the time, and you can see what 3 years growth has done. You can also see in the middle here all the new growth coming up, and this is a constant thing all year round. There's constant new growth, and this will form a big pom-pom of grass, as you can see, and then over an extended period of time, because they're eternally slow in their growth habit, a trunk will form. So to plant your grass tree, the size of the hole will be somewhat determined by the pot size. if you have heavier soil, it's really important to create the drainage. So in King Lake, we do have heavy mountain soil. So the procedure is that you would dig a hole the same depth as what the plant is in the pot, but dig your hole slightly broader. You would then fill the hole with about 150 ml of stone, and that can be local stone, it can be blue metal, it can be...
Do not take these methods as prescriptive. The key point is if you do want it to be quite free draining. So if your local soil has a high clay component, you just want to make sure that you are not digging a hole that will become a sump, that will become waterlogged. When people talk about local stone and things like that, I get worried that people are then going to go down and take stone from a creek or something like that. What you just want is something that is free draining media, and over time, it's okay if that is something that will rot down. But if you want to use something like stone, you can go and get things like anything that is that has been ground down that is hard. I mean, you can find bricks, rubble. Just wash it before you pop it in the hole. Actually, I meant to say this earlier on too when we were talking about when we saw the Vasily mix where the Vasily's offsider mentioned. Thanks, Loz. How are you? Mentioned dirt. Now, if you've got free draining compost and something of your own, that's fine. But bear in mind, you want seed raising mix to be sterile. You don't want it to be having pathogens in it. So I wouldn't be putting stuff that you've got locally from the bush into anything that you are growing, something you put a lot of effort into. I would be buying commercial mixes that you can be reasonably confident are pathogen free. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. Let's get back to grass trees. And the point for this is when you're planting into a hole, you want it to be able to be free draining.
Scoria can be broken bricks or terracotta.
Oh, there we go.
You don't have access to any of the other things. You then put a small handful of dynamic lifter on top of the stone. Take your plant out of the pot and put it on top of the dynamic lifter and stone.
Naomi, sorry to interrupt again here. Now, because grass trees do not have a phosphorus sensitivity like many of the other plants in the Australian native suite of plants do, dynamic lifter is okay. I would not be putting dynamic lifter in the hole unless it was really, really sparingly of proteaceae plants. But just bearing in mind, dynamic lifter is a great fertiliser, general purpose fertiliser, but there's a tendency for people to overuse it, and I certainly wouldn't, and I would be very wary of using it around anything in the Proteaceae family.
Which will then mean that the plant is raised slightly above the surrounding soil, which is what you want. So it means when you have cold, wet weather, you're creating drainage.
And just on that too, as long as you have a graduated fall away to the surrounding soil level, and it's really well mulched and it will not wash away, I subscribe to this mounding theory, but depending on your placement, you may be better off planting at the local or the existing soil level. The important thing is that you do not want to be creating a sump for any plant that you're planting out, unless it happens to enjoy growing in a swamp.
The one thing that Xantharias hate is wet, soggy roots. Then you backfill your hole and mound your hole up to the level of the top of the potting mix. You can top dress with a bit of stone or a bit of mulch to ensure that when it's hot and dry, you're not getting wind erosion of the soil, or when it's wet and soggy, you're not getting rain erosion from the soil, exposing the roots too much to...
I'll just stop there too, sorry. Remember when we looked at Glenn Smith's garden and the treatment he had on a sloping site? You can use fallen timber, you can use branches the way that Glenn did. That's a really good way of ensuring that even if you do get heavy rain, that there is something that acts as a barrier to trap any surface soil or compost, mulch that might be washing away, and you can trap it close to the plant, and you can then spread it around and backfill again to maintain the thickness and the protective purpose of having the mulch. So, yeah, I'm just hoping you build each time we see something on the ideas and what the principles are, rather than these prescriptive methods.
To the elements. Other than that, give it a water in. If it's summertime when you're doing it, water it regularly, once a week over the summer period, twice a week if it's really windy. If it's winter, you can basically water it in and leave it alone. So using this method, you can go from a 12-inch or 30-centimetre pot size to this spectacular specimen that we have on the mound here in about 3 to 4 years. It's going to depend on what time of year you do plant, and it's also going to depend a little bit on the amount of exposure that your plant has. The more exposure you have, the happier it will be. This particular Xantharia is Xantharia glauca. It has a more grey-green foliage and it has a flatter, broader leaf. There are any number of varieties of grass tree or Xantharia, and they all differ a little bit. In the pot adjacent to the bottle tree is a Xantharia johnsonii that has more thin, narrow leaves, and that has a slower growth rate because of the thickness of the leaf. The thickness of the leaf is a very big determining factor of your growth rate. So the way I ask people to imagine it is stacks of paper to stacks of cardboard. It takes a lot more paper to make a stack and therefore a lot longer to create your trunk. A trunk on a Xantharia glauca, till it's visible, you're probably looking in the vicinity of 10 years.
That's it for planting Australian grass trees. For more information, you can visit the Fern Acres website.
Okay, Naomi, did you find that useful? The important thing to be aware of with growing grass trees from seed, well, there's a couple of things. One, don't ever be tempted to grab a grass tree out of the bush, because probably the plant will get transplant shock and won't survive, and it will take years to actually die, so you don't know that you've wasted your time. If you wanted to buy a plant, thanks Naomi, and look, if you're in the King Lake region, Chris, if you're watching, if you're here this morning, what was it? Fern Green Nursery are in King Lake, and obviously know their stuff with grass trees, and I would assume probably all the local natives. I've never visited them. I've never heard of them before, but they may well be fantastic. Now, what I want to do now is talk about some of the other things that I have used when I have been growing natives from seed. And the first one is a little handy. I better get these all sharing, hadn't I? Better share this. Okay. Now, this is we're on catch.com here. Let me just get it up. There we are. Now, you don't need to buy from catch.com. You'll find this product. Let me... gee, Loz, you're very excited, aren't you? Loz is very excited at the moment. Let's just get it up a bit bigger. So, smoked vermiculite. If you are growing a plant, and this is what I have, why I used it, you used to be able to buy this thing called smoke water, and you could get 5 litres or 10 litres, and it was water that had been infused by bubbling smoke through it, and that would mimic the effects of having a bushfire, because many of the Australian plants will not germinate successfully unless they have been through a bushfire, unless some of the cones, the seeds won't release from Banksia cones or Hakeas, whatever. I'll just pop this up. Thanks, Naomi. That's Loz calls back lots of the birds around here. So, yeah, he's getting into the nectar mix at the moment, which I've got mixed in with some fruit, and he loves it. He goes off when he eats the nectar mix dry. So, yeah, that was it. And I'll get to the questions, all those questions again in a minute, Naomi, all the comments. But this stuff you'll be able to get in a lot of places. You can get them in small bits. I don't suggest that you buy smoke water, which you still can get from some places. Like, it's available in commercial quantities, but transporting water is very expensive nowadays. It's better to transport something that's very dry that you can add water to. So smoked vermiculite is great. Let's just see. I'm just getting rid of the. I don't need that one anymore. Just finding all the other. Yeah, look, there's so many. Just having a look. I'll just get this one up as well. If you really do want to buy smoke water, let's just have a look at the. So there you go. You can get 5 litres of smoke water, and it will cost you. Is that right? So that will cost you $38 plus $30 in postage. If you only wanted 1 litre, it would cost you $13.52 and $15. Whereas I would be much happier. We could go to my favourite seed place, and if we look at I'm going to put in smoke infused vermiculite. So there we are. You can get a kilo of that, which would be, which would do you for forever. I mean, you could get 15. You get 250 grams. Calculate price. Quantity. That's not what we want. $15 for 250 grams. Okay. That's what I would be looking at. Wandering around a bit. Naomi, is vermiculite an environmentally sustainable product? It's mined, isn't it? Yes, it is, and it's expanded vermiculite. I mean, is any commercially? I mean, that's almost a loaded question. I think vermiculite is probably more sustainable than many of the other products that are involved in gardening. If that bothers you, buy the smoke water. But how was the smoke water produced? Is the stuff that they burned to infuse through the smoke water environmentally sustainable? To be honest with you, I'm far more worried about the truckloads of mountain soil that get dug up to be sold into landscaping projects and things like that. I'm far more worried about those kind of products, and I am more concerned about buying things like tree ferns from nurseries that have been dug from the bush, even if it's with a permit, because they're being dug from places that are going to be developed or logged. Sometimes the permits are fake. I mean, I'm more worried about those kind of things than vermiculite. We can look into it a little bit more, but if there was smoke-infused coconut fibre, I would be happier to use something like that. If the coconut fibre was produced from, already cleared land and all that kind of stuff. I guess the point that I am making is I think it's probably negligible. I actually think that the almonds that we eat and the walnuts that we eat and Australian grown rice are far more problematic than vermiculite. But I take your point, and I will look it up and see if I can make a determination. If you don't need to worry about it for your waratah and for your grass tree to get them germinated. But if people are getting Hakea seeds and Banksia seeds and Dryandra seeds and any number of other Australian native plant seeds, and they're wanting to ensure germination, using the vermiculite as the top dressing of the seed tray is a way to ensure success. I'm far more worried about many of the other processes that we use than that. But yeah, point taken. Okay. I've noticed grass trees in quite shady spots. I have a position that's a bit shady. Would that be okay? My answer to that would be yes, but in my observations of grass trees that do well, they do require some direct sun during the day. So if they're getting a number of hours of direct sun, I would say that would be fine, provided they're not plunged into heavy shade. You think about all the places that you've seen grass trees growing in the wild. They will grow in heathland. They'll grow in open woodland. They'll grow in clearings, in forest. They'll grow on the edge of clearings, but I don't think they will grow in regular part shade. I'm probably thinking of more than 40% shade. I can't think of them growing in, think of the like the exocarpus, I just can't. I would be erring on a sunny spot rather than a shady spot. And yeah, thank you. I was wondering if I would agree about the greater concerns. Yeah, I'll look into the vermiculite, Naomi. I certainly see. We don't know, even when we talk about any of the commercial mixes for seed production, and we don't know where that stuff's come from. We don't know how it's been treated. We know what the end use is, but this is why I think, and it's a really good thing to think about, and why I get frustrated about the discussions that we are having in general about climate change, that we are not talking about closing the systems, that we are not talking about reusing the things that we have for a specific purpose, like, for instance, seed raising mix and cutting mix that I don't know how we can do that. I have tried to get a number of people on to talk about some of these issues, but people in industry don't tend to want to come on and answer questions that are not just going to be promo questions. So we'll keep going. Gee, Loz is very interested in my shirt too today. Okay, folks. Well, we're cracking on towards an hour and a half. Has anyone got any questions? Oh, no, what I do want to do too is what I want to show you why I brought up Nindathana. I've talked about Nindathana a lot. This is where I buy native seeds from. If I cannot get them, the ones I want from a local group of seed collectors, Indigenous people, because one, they generally always have stock. They are used to, they will sell in quantities that make sense for individual growers or for smaller groups trying to do small projects, as well as for much larger projects. So that they're used to dealing with the public, right? But they also have a whole lot of, come on, what's happening? Here we are. Let's go back to, they have a lot, are we looking at this page now or not? I can bring them in. There we are, yep. They have a lot of really helpful information on the site they do have growing tips for all the specialist types of things. Actually, here we go. They've got specialist types for waratahs. Let's have a look. Let's have a look, because we didn't look at this last week, did we? So let's have a look. See if they're any different to what I've been saying. Waratahs generally appreciate friable soil of good texture. Incorporation of rich leaf composts or similar is beneficial. Do not excavate a large hole and fill it with a good soil mix, as water will accumulate in the hole, resulting in wet feet and probable plant death. Good drainage is essential. But here's the crucial thing that I always thought with waratahs. I got to tell you, a lot of the times where I've grown plants that need good drainage but also a stable root zone temperature is I would build a mound, and I would build the mound including rocks, bricks, building rubble, concrete, broken bits of concrete, because those things, when they warm up, if they're not in the sun, they don't warm up very hot, but they also don't lose heat quickly. They will absorb heat slowly, and then they will release it. So you moderate the temperature, especially if you then mulch very well. So I build up a mound that is not all soil, that is a mixture of things, but that there is enough soil for the plant roots to get going. And then the plant roots will, if they want to find a spot above the rock, they will. If they want to go under it, they will. They'll find their best temperature zone and look after themselves. So we don't overwater. We don't let them dry out. Semi-shaded, at least shade from hot afternoon sun. Air circulation. This is important for waratahs. They can be susceptible to humidity and getting fungus, and I think it's more likely to be bacteria, discoloration, a sooty mould or something on their leaves and on their stems if there is not good air circulation. So, space them out, and that's why that pruning that we talked about, opening them up, keeping them into a vase shape, taking crossing branches out. That was the point of talking about that a few weeks back. And here we go. Waratahs will respond well to applications of slow-release nitrogenous fertiliser, such as Blood and Bone, or a slow-release general fertiliser, such as Osmocote. So there we are. Remove that. Okay, folks. I will just come back to Nindathana. I do want to have a look at browse our seed list. To give you an idea of what is on Nindathana and why I like them. Here we go. We'll put them back on. Let's just go through. Now you can purchase the seeds in 1 gram, 5 gram, 10 gram, 25 gram, 250 gram, or a kilo. But look, we're just looking at acacias at the moment. So all the varieties of acacias that they have. There we go. And then you can look at, they've got just about everything you could want. Agonis, Alocasuarinas. Look at all the Alocasuarinas. Let's come up. Look at the kangaroo paws they have. And these are all true species, right? So Atriplex. Let's look at all the Banksias. Look at all the Banksias. Now the Banksias, they will sell them in... so you can buy a packet of 10 seeds or 100 seeds or 1,000 seeds. So, you know, if you want to grow some Banksias and give them away to the family, wonderful. Beaufortia, a fantastic plant. Billardiera. Remember, I've talked about the Billardiera creepers, climbers. Baronias, they only have 2 species of Baronia. Bossia, Brachychiton, which are the flame trees or the bottle trees. Callistemons, Calitris, so the cypress pine. Calithamnus, they're a great plant for any habitat garden. Calitrix, fantastic for bringing in insects. Ah, look at that. And then Casuarinas, Corazemas. Oh, look, there's so many. Oh. Carimbia, formerly eucalypts. So that's where you get your Physofolia. Maculata, spotted gum. Beautiful. What happened to the eucalyptus? Anyway, let's have a look. There's thousands. That's all I wanted to let you know. Naomi's got another question. Naomi, I do not know. I think if all of your seed looks the same and weighs approximately the same amount, like if each seed, if they all look like they're the same, and if one's viable, I would say the lot are viable. But over time, they may age out. I don't really know. I've never tried to store those seeds. That might be a question I might put to someone who is a seed collector. Maybe I really hope to have someone from Nindathana on the show. I've started reaching out to people to do habitat gardening interviews, so we will find out. When you say you have a lot, what would a lot be to Naomi? For me, a lot would be hundreds and hundreds. And I would tend to be growing, if I was wanting to get 1 or 2 waratahs in the garden, I'd probably grow 10. I'd try 10 seeds and see how you go. The chances are you'll lose 1 or 2 along the way. And then I would use them as things to give away to other people and encourage them to pop them in the garden. What I want to do here, around here, hundreds and thousands of grass trees. Well, if you have thousands of grass trees and and you know the species, there may be a little backyard business in growing grass trees if they are a local species, Naomi, like if they're an indigenous species. You may well find that if you grow hundreds of grass trees and can get them up into tubes, and we'll talk. I think that's what we might do next week. If there's an interest in it, maybe looking at the different types of pots and tubes and things to grow into. but look, there may be a need locally for those to be established. A lot of nurseries don't do grass trees because it's a long payoff before they can sell them for reasonable dollars. I mean, but when you buy a grass tree with a trunk, you're going to get big dollars for it. But you're also going to have had to look after it for about 10 years. So, yeah, maybe see, I don't have space to grow thousands of potted up plants here, but I am considering growing sort of my own selection of habitat. Maybe a pack of 30 habitat garden plants that you can order and get dispatched in a group of 30 or 50 or something. I don't know. People can tell me if they think that's something they would be interested in. I could do that with the space I have if people were interested. Oh no, not you'll be in East Gippsland next week. Well, I can tell you, Naomi, there depending on where you're going in East Gippsland. You'll be going to Malakuta, will you, for the Malakuta bird count? Let me know. I was hoping to do that this year, but the year got away from me already. Let me know if that's where you are going. Now, Naomi, tell me this: do you think, and anyone else who is lurking and not commenting, would a habitat gardening selection of plants, like including koala, bird, bat, moth, other insect plants as tube stock, would that be interesting for people? Like a selected, it would have to be a couple of dozen, wouldn't it? I don't know. I'll think about that. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think, folks, that's where we're going to pull up stumps. We've had the technical difficulties in the middle that I'm going to have to edit out. Yeah. Good. Well, I think it's the Malakuta bird count is on. Oh no, is it next weekend? Or is it this weekend? Yeah, it's next weekend, isn't it? Labor Day weekend. Hang on, what's today? Yeah, so next weekend. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, great. All right, folks. Thanks again. I hope you found it useful or interesting, or should I do the... Well, I should tell you again, if you're interested in supporting the show, because supporting the show is really cool. Oh, I might tell you too that if you have been a podcast listener, there hasn't been much out new in the podcast for a long time. That's about to change. But I can tell you, if you are interested in the extra stuff, thank you, Naomi. A new one. Don't hit the like button or smash the like button. Smooch the like button. There we go. Smooch the like button. I'll have a look I'll have a look at the selection, and I'll see whether I can work towards finding a space that I can produce them that would enable me to produce more plants. I'll have a look at that. Where was I? Ah, yes. YouTube Music now has the Bird Emergency podcast, but it's not all the podcast episodes that have been released on through the just the audio feed. What I've done is put just about all of the, and I'm adding to it, just about everything that we've done, even if they were made for video rather than for audio, are on YouTube Music now. So if you are wanting to save bandwidth and you're not really interested in looking at stuff when I'm doing the interviews, just listening, head off to YouTube Music and that will be updating. There will be new stuff going into that every day until everything is there. And we're talking several hundred pieces of content. And I'm organising them into playlists for separate stuff. So if you want to listen to everything with Holly, there will be the Bird Emergency Holly audio playlist, apart from the videos. If you want everything Photography Friday, that will all be in there. If you want everything to do with pollution or everything to do with plastic, as we go on, that they'll all be separated out like that on YouTube Music. And I'm going to put most of my focus into this extra content because that's where I get the interaction. I don't get interaction, comments and stuff from the normal podcast. So stick with YouTube, thebirdemergency.com/YouTube, where you'll get everything. Oh, and I must say too, I don't want to discriminate against those of you who prefer to use Facebook. But yesterday you may have seen that Meta have now decided that they are pulling out of their arrangement with media companies in Australia, so that when Facebook throws stuff in their newsfeed, generating so much of their content from all of the media providers in Australia, they are no longer going to pay for any of that. And they certainly don't have a way to pay independent producers. So my content will be more and more biased towards YouTube. So Naomi, I know you're always on the Facebook because you're using the Facebook groups, but Meta has no interest in doing things that support the generation of content that they then help pay for. YouTube is a totally different thing. So, I'm just letting you know, and that I would encourage you to make the move over to YouTube, and yeah, and I'll be making some other moves, but eventually Facebook will not be getting the live streams. And indeed will probably be getting nearly nothing unless they change around. And as you might have already seen, I really didn't want to use Facebook and Instagram as just a dumping ground for me going, hi, this is what I'm doing next, like so much of it is, which is why I don't use Facebook. Because personally, I do not go to Facebook to look for anything, because so much of it is either misinformation, disinformation, or crap, in my view. Just getting you again. Great, Naomi. I'm glad you are thinking that. Yeah, that will definitely be my move. I'm not going to do it today, but probably by the time we get round to Anzac Day, I will have probably promoted it out enough that is what is happening, and that is probably about the time I will drop streaming to Facebook, and Facebook will just be somewhere that I'll go, hi gang, my new stuff is out on YouTube. And I'll probably do a bit more moving over towards LinkedIn for interviews as well, depending on who the interview is. And I will be doing more, I guess, on Twitch, more exclusive stuff on Twitch. Naomi, what I will probably do is I'll probably still create a stream on Facebook like I have been, but what I will do at maybe 5 or 10 minutes in, I'll put up a notification similar to this, but it will be saying, hey, Instagram and Facebook stream will be ending in a few minutes. If you want to keep watching, come over to YouTube. That's probably how I will handle it. Yeah. And look, I have to tell you too that apart from you and Chris, you are the people who watch regularly on Facebook. So Facebook is not driving views and eyes. It's not growing. The people who are interested in back and forward and conversation on live streams are not on Facebook. You know, basically people on Facebook are my age, right? And they're going, oh, do you see what Peter Dutton said today? Fair income. Facebook is, apart from the Bird ID and a few other groups, Facebook's a bloody wasteland. And those people are not coming here. And I am not producing content that is there for them. So I think rather than the time that it takes to produce stuff in the right format to fit, I'm just going to give it away. So, but for the time being, I will probably start the streams on Facebook. I will make a little overlay or a little video that says, hey, guess what? Facebook's ending in a few minutes. And I think, Naomi, tell me this. Can you check this out for me? Here we are doing housekeeping on the go. Naomi, if you type in thebirdemergency.com/YouTube, I think that takes you direct to subscribing to YouTube if you are not already subscribed to YouTube. I think that takes you straight there. So, I would like to spend more time catering to YouTube and to Twitch. And look, there are other places that I currently don't stream. I don't stream to Kick. I don't stream to Rumble. Not that I really want to build an audience there, but you never know. I mean, it's reaching out to new people. I would like to increase the presence on Instagram because it's a different type of not on Instagram, on LinkedIn, because it's a different type of people who are using LinkedIn. But it's a whole heap of work to produce stuff that looks good on and is audience appropriate on LinkedIn. But I do need to do that. And I also need to be hooray! Good on you, Naomi. Now, so tell me, that link, thebirdemergency.com/YouTube, that took you automatically to somewhere to subscribe, didn't it? You could just go bang and you were in. It was very, you only needed to do 1, maybe 2 clicks at the most, didn't you? Let me know, because I haven't done it for ages. But look, while we're sharing, and I'll probably have to cut all this out of the video when it goes on because we're going on for so long. but I need to start bringing in some dollars, and YouTube in the long term, I need to get to 1,000 subscribers, and then I need to get to more, and that's why I'm putting more and more stuff on YouTube, is that there is an opportunity to actually defray my costs on YouTube. And the most popular videos on YouTube are things like habitat gardening and photography stuff. Now, it's not where the bird emergency started, but it's where the audience is. So I've got to find a way to produce the audio podcast, which is heavily edited. But the stuff for YouTube, I'm not editing in the same way. So there's less friction for me, but that's where there's an opportunity to make some money. And I'm going to have to find a way to reach out for sponsors if I don't get people joining as members. Thanks, Naomi. You added a pic. Oh, okay, so you already didn't have your page set up. Okay, so that's cool. Over time, I'm going to be reaching out. More and more of the people that I choose to interview will be people who are on YouTube already, so that I can grow them and grow me in the one place. So that will happen more and more. And YouTube lets me organise the content into different playlists, so that if people want more pollution and that kind of stuff, all of that can go into one playlist. If they want more seabird stuff, all the seabird stuff can go in one playlist. So it means people can self-sort, but I can keep talking to thousands, to as many people as possible, but without having a jumbled feed. I did get a lot of feedback from people who were just getting the audio podcast that they didn't want photography in it, and they didn't want gardening stuff in it, and they didn't want the panel discussions. They just wanted the good old one-on-one interview. Okay, I'll keep doing them for them, but that won't be where most of the content is. So I guess that's what we're going, and I will also be putting a lot more effort into, because it takes a lot of time, and it's got to be, I don't want to just put out junk like a lot of people do, like 150 words as a newsletter. I reckon that's rubbish. I'd rather find something that's useful for you, and I guess we'll get led by how people react to it over time. But I will be doing a Patreon. Actually, a lot of today will be spent setting up the Patreon, and there will be 2 introductory levels on the Patreon. One will be bird stuff, one will be habitat gardening stuff, and eventually there'll be another one which will be my a few other shows, but it'll all be run through one Patreon. But there will be an introductory level for each. I'm going to try a level in the Patreon where, for a fairly large monthly subscription, you will get the monthly new bit of merch. I'm working on that. This all costs money, and it's money at the moment I don't have, because the my 2 main clients they've had to go and find other work apart from their main jobs, so they don't really have the money to throw at me. So I need to find new sponsors or new members, which means I need to change the way I'm doing things. So, and as much as, if I could do bird emergency stuff every day, I would, but I have to find a way to get some more money coming in to pay for the internet, to pay for everything that needs to support this stuff. And I would prefer that came from people who like to consume my stuff on either Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, or I'll be doing the same levels of membership on buy me a coffee too. So I'm not forcing people to go to one or the other. And we'll get all these sort of tips and hint sheets up for Patreon. And anyway, it just takes work, and I need to get that done. And I can do a lot more bird and habitat gardening stuff if I'm doing less rubbish that has to pay me $1. So Anyway, folks, that's on. I've got to get my Stream Deck set up too today, which was, I think that might have been one of the things that was causing problems with the stream today. So I'm sorry if you didn't. I'm sorry if a lot of stuff was driving you mad today. But I'll spend the afternoon editing this and get this out as well in the Habitat Gardening playlist on the YouTube channel. And look, if there's other places that you know that are good streaming outlets that I can stream to for free and see if people are interested, let me know, and we'll get onto it. That would be good. So what will we talk about next week? Next week is the Labor Day weekend. What's coming up? Let me talk about what's coming up. Tomorrow, I'm going to do more. I'm going down the thylacine rabbit hole a bit further, but also passenger pigeon and a whole heap of other birds and a couple of other mammals that were thought to have been extinct and weren't, or ones where people really wish that they could bring them back. We're going to talk about a lot of these issues. I'm going to talk about the difference between science and faith, what constitutes evidence, what are people wishing for, why are people wishing for certain things rather than approaching things why do they want science or evidence for some things but not for other things? So it should be a bit of fun. That's what we're going to do tomorrow on the live show, which I think I said is going to be around 1 o'clock, I think. So that's Sunday. Monday is Labor Day. And the Monday stream is Urban Birds, hoping still to confirm a guest, but if not, I do have some urban bird projects from around the world to talk about, and also some of the similar kind of projects that happen in Australia that are happening in other parts of the world, and we're going to look at them. So that's Monday. And then Dawn Chorus is next week too. And Dawn Chorus is Thursday the 14th. Okay? So is that right? No, not next week. Hang on, what day is it today? Oh, it's only the 2nd. Oh my God, I've got so far away. Got so far above myself. The Sunday and Monday streams this week are as described. But Dawn, as I already told you, Dawn Chorus is the week after the holiday. So you got plenty of time, and I'm going to make a little explainer video for all of the platforms for people to participate. I'm going to explain how easy it is to produce a thanks, Naomi. Well, look, I hope. I know when we first started the habitat gardening that I didn't want to go and do the usual thing, like all those videos that I played where someone goes out and shows you how to do something. Now, there's no shortage of that, and we can all find that. What I always want to talk about is the reasons why things are done, and some of the general overall strategies or techniques that you can learn or that you can apply to get things done. So I hope you're finding me sitting here with Loz and, you know, just sitting here with a green screen and playing stuff and telling you stuff. I hope you're finding that as valuable as watching a segment on Gardening Australia. Because essentially I'm doing the same thing. I'm just doing it in a different way because I don't have a crew of 6 and I don't have $150,000 to go and produce this stuff. If I had $150,000, I would be going and doing that. But that's just a simple fact. So Naomi, you can tell me whether you're finding it useful. And to the folks who are watching on YouTube, and there are quite a few of you, or the folks who are watching on Twitch and Twitter/X, if you're finding it useful, and you can comment on all of those platforms if you want to participate. I can get your comments like Naomi's on. Look, Naomi on YouTube and also on Facebook. But if someone had a comment on X, I could put that in the same, or Twitter, the same as if it was on LinkedIn or anything else. So please join the Riot Squad. The Riot Squad are the regular commenters, and we call them the Riot Squad because the collective noun for a group of kookaburras is a riot. So come and be friendly and join in. Tell us where you're watching or listening from. Leave a comment. Maybe if you're watching on replay, if you're not with us live and you're watching on replay, leave a comment. Tell me what you would like to learn. Tell me what you would like to cover. Tell me how much you like my beaten up old hat that Millie gave me. Tell us anything. That's what we're doing it for. That's why we do it live. Interaction, learning and sharing, and having fun. On that note, please do something fun today. If it's going to be about gardening, go on your bike, go and enjoy it. Head off to the big green hardware shed or your local nursery and find something you like and add it to your garden. So next week, what did I say we'll talk about? We'll talk about some of the pot sizes. Yeah, I'll look at that. I'll just show you some of the things that I found good for producing plants. We won't... I might do a little bit about cuttings next week, but I think we might start to focus on more plants for insects, butterflies, moths, and other insects, just to switch it up a little bit. Oh, what's all this? Oh, wow. I just saw something else pop up which freaked me out in the sidebar. But it's Monica. Have you had any interactions with Monica yet? The new Google AI thing. Anyway, thanks everyone. Do make sure you subscribe, thebirdemergency.com/YouTube. Feel free to buy me a coffee. That is always appreciated. And I'll plug all the other things a lot more in the coming weeks. Thebirdemergency.com/coffee if you would like to buy me a coffee, because I need one. Thanks, Naomi, for all your questions and your comments. I hope everyone else is going to have a great weekend. And Loz is also saying, see you later. He's actually looking at me intently saying, get off, fella. You've been going for ages. See you, everyone. I'm Grant. I'm a bird nerd. I'm a horticulturist, which makes me a plant nerd. I'll see you later.